Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Premiership Quarter. Today, I'm going to be doing my overrated team for the upcoming 2024 AFL season. This is going to be partly based off of last season, as well as some of my predictions for the players this season, and a mixture of what the media believes the players are and what I believe the player is in terms of how good they actually are. To start with, I'm going to be talking about the key defenders, which is the exact same as when I did my season predictions for every team. Now, the fullback in this team is Ben Mackay, and this is based on how much he got paid. And from the rumors I've heard, it is $1.3 million in the first season. And for a player of his caliber, who has been absolute dog shit for North Melbourne, it's overpriced, to put it simply. And the reason he's in this team is because he is not worth that much money. The second key defender is Asava Radaglia. And the reason I've put him here is because people think that the defenders that Port Adelaide got in Zerk Thatcher and Radaglia are going to change their defense. And the problem that I have is that A, Zerk Thatcher could easily also be in this list because he's not very good at all. And the problem with Radaglia is that he plays too similar to what Alir wants to do when he's playing his best football. He wants to be that interceptor, and the best Radaglia we've seen in defense at Geelong, which also wasn't very good, was as an intercepting key defender. And the fact that you've got two players who are going to be running and jumping into each other's airspace can cause some problems. The two sort of medium defenders I have are Dylan Grimes and Connor Iden. The second one I'll talk about in a little bit, but to start, I'm going to talk about Dylan Grimes. The reason I have him in this team is because I just think he's gone past it, not even last year, but a couple years ago. Even when they made the finals and barely lost to Brisbane in 2022, I don't think he was very good. He has lost the ability to play on the smaller forwards and be able to keep up with them. He was able to do that in like 2020, probably when he was at his best, and he was able to play on the Charlie Camerons. But I don't think he was able to do that a couple of seasons ago, and definitely not now. And he also is very injury prone, and the chances he plays more than 15 games this season probably quite slim. Now, the second one is not the fact that he's an overrated player, it's more of an overhyped thing. Um, and it's the fact that the media seem to be talking about him as a near lock for the 44-man squad in terms of All Australian. He realistically has the potential to make it, but for you to predict that in terms of genuine linear growth, it's so hard to predict, and there's going to be a lot more pressure on him to perform. And I just think he's going to be outshined from the other key backmen in GWS's team. You've got Taylor, you've got Himmelberg, you've got Buckley, and I just think Iden is that player who doesn't need this expectation put on him to perform to all Australian standards. Now, the other two are players that are going to be put into different positions from what they've trained in preseason, and I don't think they're going to work. They are Nick Martin, who's seeming to be playing off of halfback now, and Hayden Young, who is seeming to be going off from halfback into the midfield. The reason I've got Nick Martin there is because he seemed a bit lost at times in the preseason game against St Kilda, and I think his best football is easily on the wing, and he will probably have made the team on the wing anyway because I just don't think he is at that level yet. Could he get there? Yes. Is he there now? No. And then the other one is Hayden Young. The fact that people think he's going to become a starting top three midfielder on a team pushing for finals in his first season, becoming a midfielder, is a bit wild to me. The pressure, again, the pressure you're putting on him to perform in his first real season as a midfielder is a lot. It's a lot of pressure to handle. And when he is such a good outside player, when he does have the body to be able to play off halfback, but also in the midfield, it's great. It's very helpful. And if you need him to play midfield times, he can play 20% for you. But to expect him to play 80% there and be great at it in his first season, I just don't think the pressure is necessary for him, and I don't think it would be great for him and his performances in 2023 in the midfield. My two wingers are Lockie Hunter. I just don't like the man. I don't like how he plays football. He seems very not physical, and I don't like that about his game. He's very flaky in a sense in contest, and it's not fun to watch for me. And then the other one is Sam Doherty. It's hard for him because he's had a lot of setbacks in his career, but he also necessarily hasn't found a spot, like a lock in terms of where he's going to play this season. Is he going to play as a midfielder? Is he going to be a half back? Is he going to be a winger? Is he going to be a half forward flanker? It's tough, and I don't think he's overrated as a player, but it's just someone that I had to fill in the team, and because he hasn't locked down a position with the talent he has, I've got him in the team. Now, the tall forwards that I have in this team are Aaron Norton and Eric Hipwood. My God, can Aaron Norton not kick straight? And it is so infuriating for a player to be drafted as a key back, be switched to a key forward position, and not excel at the one thing key forwards need to do. And the fact that Bulldogs do not have a genuine key defender at the moment, and they've got a lot of key forwards coming through the ranks. Think of Hugo Hagen, Rory Lobb, who's not coming through the ranks but is still good, and you paid a lot for him. You got Sam Darcy, who can play anywhere, and then you just drafted Jordan Croft. There's a lot behind him, and if you can't use him in a spot where he was drafted, what's the point in having him there? He's basically the same as Hugo Hagen, just not necessarily as good. And then the second for me is Eric Hipwood. They're both left footers. They are both not necessarily the most accurate. I just think Hipwood's in this team because I couldn't find anyone else. He's not really overrated. He had a pretty good season last year, in fact. But I also think Danaher is quite clearly better than him, and he probably didn't perform as great as he could have in a couple of those finals. In terms of the more medium-sized forwards, I've got Kyle Langford and Bo McCreary. Kyle Langford, the fact that he kicked over 50 goals is absolutely wild from last season. He was Essendon's main forward, with Peter Wright not being able to play most games. And it was very interesting to see that he kicked 51 goals last season. I was not expecting that at all. And in terms of improvement, you could argue he was the most improved player last season, if you want to look at statistics. But I see him probably taking a huge back step this year. I don't think he'd be able to perform anything close to that. And that's why I've got him in the team. And then the other one is Bo McCreary. This is for you, David King. He will not be a midfielder, and he will be a perfect small forward for the Collingwood Football Club in his career, given he doesn't leave. There is no need for him to play midfield. Collingwood have got great depth there. They have got experience. They have got youth. And someone like Finlay McRae probably needs to play a bit more there over someone like Bo McCreary. He is a great high half forward flanker, and that's all he needs to be. In terms of the two small forwards, for me, the obvious one's Jade Gresham. I talked about it a lot in my Essendon video. And shout out to you guys. You guys have already got that over 300 views. And for someone with, 15 subscribers, that's awesome. So thank you very much. I talked about it a lot in that video where I just don't rate him as a footballer. As a St Kilda fan, watching him was so annoying. And the fact that he can't kick a set shot from 35 metres out directly in front proves that fact. And then the other one for me is Cody Waitman. A little bit similar to Lockie Hunter, to the way I just can't stand watching him. But I also don't think he is as good of a footballer as some of the media present him as. I don't think he is an elite level small forward. I don't think he is that small forward to the point where he's a number one player in terms of small forward on a premiership team. And I think some of the media present him as that. Now, in terms of the ruck position, I've got Sam Draper, simply because he is an Essendon player and Essendon love to talk about their players a lot. He probably isn't as impactful in terms of not over, but throughout a game. He doesn't necessarily consistently impact all four quarters. He's more of a burst player, and it's just whether he can make that improvement. I don't think he's there yet, not that. So that's why I have him, because I think some of the Essendon fans put him in that spot. In terms of my midfielders, it's Sam Walsh as the first one, Jason Horne-Francis as the second one, and Darcy Parish as the third one. It's tough because there's actually a lot of Essendon players now looking back at this, and that probably means Essendon are going to be finishing a lot lower on the ladder than what I had them finishing originally. But I think Sam Walsh is there because a lot of people predicting him to finish top three in the Brownlow, and I just don't see that from him this season. He is a great player and he has the quality to finish there, but I think there's going to be a lot of spread in the Carlton votes. I think Nick Newman can earn 10 plus. I think Paddy Cripps and Adam Chera can do the same. Charlie Curnow obviously gets votes, and I just think there's so little spare for him that he won't get top three. Now, I've got Jason Horne-Francis here simply because of his performances on Brownlow night. He somehow got 16 votes, and I am a fan of how the umpires do it. And it's not the best player in the competition, it's the best player on one of the best teams. If you are quite clearly the best midfielder on your team, you are going to win it. And that's why Lockie Neal has won it. He is the most impactful midfielder by far on the Brisbane Lions. And when they are successful, he will poll enough games for 3 votes when they win to get the Brownlow medal. It's why Bontempelli has struggled to win it because the Bulldogs haven't been that good. It's why Ollie Wines won it in 2021 when Port were top of the ladder. And he was quite clearly the best midfielder and the most impactful player on their team that season. And it's the same with Paddy Cripps in 2022. They just missed out on finals, but the individual season he had, where he probably shouldn't have been able to do it anyway, and Lockie Neal could easily have 3 by now. But he was so good for Carlton and so impactful for them. That's why he won it. And Jason Horne-Francis is nowhere near half of that at the moment. And so for him to get 16 votes is kind of wild. I will be making a video about the Brownlow medal and my thoughts on it and how the voting works very soon. So stay tuned. And then the last midfielder was Darcy Parish. And I just don't think he's a number one midfielder on a finals. He probably is on a finals caliber team, but not on a top 4 caliber team. And I think the way some of the media talked about him, I watched the first crack, and Joey Montagna was saying that he could potentially be a Nick Dacos, I think is what he said. Or he should be like the Essendon's Nick Dacos. Don't see it. Simple as that. And I just think he needs to be the second. And Zach Merritt probably isn't the type of number one key midfielder to be able to push Essendon there. And so they need to demand someone like Archie Perkins to be that player. And I just don't see it. So that's my thoughts on the overrated team. If you like the video, hit the like button. It does great for the video. If you have any different thoughts, if you think I'm a bit of a tool for putting in someone like Ben Mackay or Sam Draper, put your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. But thanks for watching.